Could you please sit for this?
I learned something new. I would like to stand, sir.
Okay, but only because you said sir. So that was sort of cool. This is the last speech in your Toastmasters storytelling book. So this is it. This is the top of the pyramid for you, my friend. So everybody, how do you think you do on a speech? Do you know what the speech was about? What was he trying to achieve in this speech?
Tell a story.
Tell a story. Good. All right. That's good. Of course, it's the storytelling manual, so that's an easy guess. He was trying to bring a historical event to life. It was the goal of this one. Did he succeed?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, so fundamentally, on that level, Murali, you did an excellent job. Congratulations. So you did tell a story. And in fact, I bet if I went around the room, I could quiz people in the room and ask them what the story is about, and I bet they could recall pieces and parts of it. Let me ask you a quick question. Was this the best story you've ever heard in your life? The answer is no, by the way. Was it okay? It was an okay story. It's sort of because you were trapped in a room and there wasn't any other place for you to go, right? Okay. So Murali, you did a good job of telling a story, and you know you're a good speaker, so there's no question about that. But it wasn't a great story. I don't think I'm going to remember it an hour after this meeting. There might be something, but not really. And the reason is because you didn't really build super vivid images in my mind. Okay, so you told me a story about a fort. Now, one thing that I didn't pick up on was I'm not sure what point in time we're at. I don't know when the story occurred. Did it occur in the 1940s? Did it occur in the 1800s? Did it occur, 300 BC? I don't know, but that would have helped me with my mental image, right? And you didn't really explain the part of India that it was happening in. Is it dry? Is it wet? Are we talking about jungle territory? Or does it even really matter? But that would have been an important part. How big was the fort? Was it a large fort? And why was it such a secure fort? You mentioned a little bit that it was like, was it made out of stone? Was it like up on a cliff and impenetrable, but he had tried many times? You have to tell me a little bit about the background. So I've seen a lot of movies where people try to assault forts. So what'll happen is I'll start to understand that. Okay, and I thought that you went through, you told me, you sort of said, oh, some spies came along and they saw her going in, and they did, so you had what, a couple spies sneaking through a door and then wandering off through the city, and somehow, so things got a little confusing there. You had a main character, this woman. Now, independent of the amount of information you had, you didn't tell us that much about her. You told us a lot about her name, which I think is fantastic. You told us that she had a very deep relationship with her husband, which is good, but had nothing to do with the story. Not really. She was going to go get water. That would have been good enough for us. The fact that she was doing it because she really loved her husband, fine, but it didn't really have a big role in this particular story. Unless perhaps it really has a big role in how the story is normally told. Maybe there's a big deal with that, but in your telling of it, that wasn't really all that significant. You didn't really describe her to us. We don't know how old she was. Was she a little old lady? If so, this story becomes very interesting. If she was really young, then that becomes very interesting too. Okay? If she's middle-aged, whatever. That's just sort of what we expect from middle-aged ladies, right? But, when you got to the crux of your story, where you said, listen, so she went home, if you'd had her frantically searching through her house for some way she could defend the city, that would have been fantastic. You just had to go home, she found this pedestal, and she went back. It didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. But when you're telling a story, if you can get us into her situation, feel the panic and the fear she must have been feeling at the time, great, we're on board, we're looking for the next thing to happen. And if she was really hitting tens or hundreds of people over the head, there's a body disposal issue that has to come up when you're doing this. But that's a fantastic fertile ground for a storyteller. Where was she stacking the bodies? And when she was stacking them around and the spies came back and saw her, wouldn't they have thought, wow, hey look, there's an old lady with a pedestal, and hey look, there's everybody we've ever known stacked up like cordwood around her. And wouldn't her husband have gone, wow, first off, I probably shouldn't pick a fight with her because apparently she holds a grudge, right? Okay. So a lot of different things you could have done that with that. You just sort of touched on it and went on. And her death, tragic, and obviously that's really the key thing. Has she been remembered in any particular way? Is this a story that's told to children? Is there a memorial? Is that city been immortalized somehow? Is pedestals in that area come with like her name on the handle or whatever the story is? But interesting things, you could have taken us to the next step to make us understand why this story of all the other stories out there has lived on through history. Good job. Next time you tell a story, give us a little bit more color and we will remember it forever. Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you. Please vote for best evaluator. And Steve will pick up.
Everybody did an excellent job. I only have one offer to, and one for Jason and one double clutch for Jason. He repeated I both times. That's it.
Satish, your first report on posture bell.
I didn't find any mistakes today, except for before completing the speech, Bell cut the chair. Other than that, I didn't see any issue.
Thank you. And then grammarian, Arnold.
The grammarian was very pleased today, and as a matter of fact, it was kind of a dull job today because most people used refractory, and they were not refractory. So I thought I'd play the fashion police again, too. I don't think women should wear tuxedos to work. Not appropriate. Very good day.
All right, thank you. Nitesh, right?
Nishit.
Nishit.
Yeah.
Nishit, timer.
Joe,
Yes,
what do you think? How much time you taken for your speech?
probably 7 minutes, 7.5.
It's 7:45.
Okay.
So what I observe is you go through very smoothly during your speech, but as soon as I turn the yellow light, you'll be more calmer like that, you know. So what I suggest, what I think is you should be cover in that period from 7 minutes to cover up the whole speech. And everybody else has completed in almost in the time.
Excellent. Very good.
Because I forgot to start the evaluation.
The meeting was planned well. I see all the functionary roles were pre-filled before start of the meeting. And only thing, also we didn't have our sergeant of arms today. Maybe you could have checked the bell and the arm is around here. With that, you give back to the Toastmaster.
With that note, I think I will need the votes for the best evaluator, speaker, and demo topic. Everybody vote. It's time to give awards.
Because of the Toastmasters spring, we can vote.
So best evaluator, Dr. Jim. Thank you. You can start here. Best demo topic. Again. Thank you. And now the best speaker. Now best speaker. Murali.
Oh, he's going to give an acceptance speech, isn't he? Oh, God.
And with that, I would like to turn the meeting to our secretary.
So I will give you complete information about how our club will be working with the local PMI chapter to give us the PDUs. So we need 60 PDUs in a span of 3 years to keep the certification current. So coming to the Toastmaster club here and doing some functionary roles or doing some speaking, so you will be entitled to get those PDUs.
Okay.
With that, what we are doing is we should have a special event next week, but we are moving it to the following week for November 3rd. The special event is everybody will be prepared with the speech, and Arnie is leading that special event. So everybody's name will be put it in the box, and he will randomly pick whoever name wins.
Next week.
Following week. Yes, Arnie.
Couple of questions on the event. We're going to have everybody come to the meeting prepared with a speech. So if you don't have a speech prepared, no. Come. and prepare a speech.
Wing it.
We are all going to be here. We are all going to be here. And we're all going to have the opportunity to speak. So, the question arises, what do we do about evaluations? Should we have a lottery too for the evaluators?
Yeah.
Perhaps that's a good thing. The first 4 picked out of the hat will be the speakers. The second 4 will be the evaluators.
Oh, well done.
What if there aren't 8 people?
Ever the optimist, Jason.
If there's not 8 people, Jason will fill in all of the roles that are not 2.
That's right. So please be prepared to speak.
So you have 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. We're going to have pizza.
Yes.
Say no more. I'm there.
Guys, we have 2 more weeks to prepare for the speech. Yes, please.
If you're not sure, we can talk about pizza. Next Thursday, I am giving a speech at the FSU College of Law on information and data security law. And I would like to practice the speech here Monday, if possible. I'm going to send out a list to or a note to the email list. So if anybody could show up here Monday, noon, our normal time.
Can I be your evaluator, please?
Yes. Give the feedback.
Excellent. Congratulations. That's good stuff.
Vengeance is nice.
So plan now for the special event. And now everybody has a prepared speech. So if you don't get the opportunity then, to put your name on the roster.
How long does the speech with my
5 to 7 minutes.
Pick one from your book. And so you get credit for the speech on your comedy communicator.
Yeah. So you can get ready, whatever time the manual you have, you can go with that.
That's a good question. Do you have to be a registered member?
Yes. Yes.
Aha.
Aha, registered.
In good standing.
Good standing.
Yeah.
There's a check attached to that, too.
I like that. You can come by my desk. I have an extra CC menu.
And it's a blank check.
Yeah, we have
Wow, we like those even better.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I sit right next to you.
So, we have a guest today. Can you please stand up and introduce yourself to the class? And how do you got to know from the class?
Hello, I'm Vishal Lakhotia. I've been with Verizon for the last 11 years, and I've heard of Toastmasters earlier. Kind of hesitant to join. Fear of public speaking, I'd say. But I've actually seen a lot of transformation in Joe, who I know from the gym. I mean the gymnasium. And,
He's dropped weight, he's bulked up. Toastmasters is wonderful.
I haven't seen him over many years, recently I joined the gym back, and I'm like, hey, he had much more level of confidence in sharing his views and stuff. So I was like, okay, wouldn't hurt to show up and check it out.
Excellent, fantastic.
Thank you.
I would like to adjourn our meeting and see you all next week.
Woohoo! So, Jason, what will you be talking about, my friend?
Information and data security law.
See, the thing, Jason, is you're going to be giving your speech over again anyway. I have to be forced to do it.
Hope I didn't beat you up too much.
I saw my mistakes. I knew my mistakes.
Really, I mean, like I said, the main thing was that it didn't seem relevant to.
Right.
Like I kept listening. I'm like, okay, when are you going to start bringing?
Well, I didn't want to put too many facts that would bore people either.
Right. It's a balance.
So yeah, it's a balancing act. And I just didn't put
There you go,
enough.
sir. Well done. Well done.
More or less, I didn't put enough.
Thank you. Enjoyed seeing you in action.
I think that's
Which is kind of like
he thinks more of
that's
you.
He was watching Netflix.
That's good. Hey,
I had to keep him quiet.
it works perfectly.
credit for it. Right. So maybe a good one for the 2 weeks or something on
I think I'm going to do that. And I feel like too much on my notes. I realize that. I got to break that habit. That's a habit. But thank you.
My former cyber law class and my professor there had invited me up to talk about information.
Excellent. So that could be a very dry topic if you weren't careful. Right? I mean, for you, no, because you're interested in it. For anybody else in the audience, that could be sort of...
Yeah,
we all know it's topical, so that's good. So you'll have that level of interest. But what do you want them to walk away with from your speech? What's the goal of your speech? 10 words or less.
To realize how much there is to it. To realize that there's a lot to it, and it's not just a few laws.
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to like lawyers? Law students.
It's cyber, yeah, students who are in a cyber law class. So
really, I mean, I'm a student. I'm only thinking of myself.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to come and give this talk on cyber stuff. Okay, well that's cool. So what would I take away from it? This is an area of law that's brand new. It's developing. It's not well developed yet, but it's going to be a huge issue going forward. It would be you're taking this class, but understand that this may be an area that you want to concentrate your law career on, because there's a lot of advantages to the people that you serve.
There's a lot of business opportunities.
And also a lot of opportunities for you as a lawyer. Here's how you can find out more about it.
Well, I have my last page of my PowerPoint is career.
So let me ask you a question. So, do you tell stories? This, in order to make, and especially for students.
Well, okay. So let me tell you how I'm starting it out, and there's definitely room for improvement in the body of the speech. But I'm starting it out. Okay. So in law school, a lot of classes are based on fact patterns. Where at the exam you get a fact pattern, you've got to go through the exam and find all the issues and then talk about the law surrounding the issue. This particular class that I took is a paper class.
Okay.
So, and in fact, most of them have already begun work on their papers and already have topics, because they're going to be they give presentations about the topics. So I'm only taking half the class, the other half is going to be taken by student teachers. So I'm starting it out. I'm giving them a paragraph or two fact pattern that talks about, it's one I got when I was at this conference, and it talks about an organization called Freedom Movement, and they have, I don't remember the exact fact pattern what I have, but they have emails, they're based in Belgium, they have email servers in New York City, and they have members all over the world, including Boston and Germany. And the FBI learned that a German and a Boston are communicating about a terrorist act, so they file a national security letter request to the provider in New York, including issuance of a gag order, which has also been ruled unconstitutional in the Southern District of New York. The provider provides the information and also doesn't alert the Belgium company that it happened. But then Anonymous breaks into their email server, finds out that what's been going on, and releases it to the world on WikiLeaks. So the question is, what are the issues? So what I'm trying to point out is that it crosses international laws, national security issues, it's a wealth of information.
Excellent. Okay, I mean, that's a great story, right? So here's the concept. Challenge started out making a personal story right off the bat. Say, listen, let's say, for quick discussion, you're the FBI agent who's in charge of the Boston district. Okay, that's your job. Congratulations. You've been with the agency for 24 years. You're a well-respected FBI agent. You have a couple of successes under your belt, but you're still looking for that next promotion. You've just uncovered some information about these two people. Undercover agent has indicated that there's an enemy terrorist in your district communicating with somebody else, and you know that they're planning an attack. Okay, your job is to stop the attack. Okay, there is some information here that if you had that information, you could probably stop the attack. So now you're into a moral quandary, right? And all of a sudden, they're role playing with you, right? The question is, so you do all the right things and you get shut down. Effectively, it's your story, right? But all of a sudden, whoops, the information shows up in your lap, right? Should you use it? I mean, might be the question that you want to ask. The answer is hell yes, right? But pose it to them, right? Make it a question so that they role play, and then they go, would you use the data that you got through WikiLeaks, or would that be improper, immoral, illegal, whatever the correct legal phrase is? Just start off with that. Challenge them with the question, but make them role play. Don't make it like they're reading a newspaper article, but place them somehow in the story, okay? And then pose a question to them and have a little twist on it, right? You know, where it's like, ooh, I could see both sides of that, right? You know, when you do it that way, then all of a sudden it's not cut and dry. You know, it's that gray area, which I think is what your whole speech is probably about, right? You know, it's a tricky area, and it's not much fun.
Now, question for you, because, okay, so a lot of my thing is going through, you know, all the different, there's the Fair Credit Reporting Act, there's the Data Protection Act in Europe. You know, I mean, it's just a series of laws that I'm just trying to show, hey, there's a lot of different stuff out there.
Could you start that discussion out by saying, look, it turns out this is really simple. And say, by the way, here it is, it's cut and dried. Oh, wait a minute. There's the Data Fair Protection Act, and that means this. Okay, but you know, we can live with that.
You're better now.
Oh, wait a minute. There's also, you know, where you just keep realizing, you know, basically you build a sandwich, okay, but you start with a piece of bread. And everybody goes, yeah, it's a piece of bread, that's a sandwich. Okay, well, there's one more thing. There's one more thing. You know, when you keep doing that, you know, they'll get into the flow of it after a while. Oh, he's going to have more shit, right? But, you know, eventually when you're done with it, you got a Dagwood Bumstead type of sandwich that, you know, reaches from the ceiling to the floor. And you go, congratulations, you built your sandwich, now go ahead and eat it, right? You know, it's that complex. There's that many different rules and agencies and countries and stuff involved. You know, but you built it up, and they were with you as you built it up, and then all of a sudden, so now they have a full grasp of just how complex this shit can be, right? You know, and is it even possible to operate in that area, or you're just going to hit a minefield no matter what you do, right? You just can't win. So I don't know, a lot of different ways to do it. But you know, doing that type of stuff, all of a sudden takes something that could be a fairly dry, I'm going to list the 16 different agencies that identity and influence of privacy on the European continent. If you approach it a little bit differently and say, so here's a very simple thing. Okay, so you do a transaction, there's obviously a record of it, poof, okay, so it's an agreement between you and the vendor, poof, that's all there is. You are the only people who should be able to get to it. Oh, wait a minute, I guess there is one more. Oh, wait, oh, you know, I just remembered this one, you know, and what happens, you just, and you know, at the end, they're like, shit, that's crazy. But you brought them along, right, and you started very simple that they could get their hands around it, and then you just kept adding to it, and they got out of control. Okay, just makes it stick a little bit. Cool. You will do a fantastic job. That will be very good. And now the question is what do you want to get out of it?
I'm just using it to put on my resume that I did a...
That's fine, but here's something for you. You're going to go through the time, energy, and effort to put this speech together for a bunch of students. The cool thing would be if you could reuse that speech someplace else. Okay? So I mean, ultimately, I guess that might be something that would make it well worth your... You know, you'll do it for them. Right. You'll get feedback. If nothing else, you get self-feedback on how it went. Right. But then you have a speech now that you can go tell to a Kiwanis club or you know, anybody else who would be interested in hearing what you have to say. So I would just consider it to be the 0.1 version of your speech. So yeah. So don't think of it as a one-off. Think of it as a one of many type of thing, and then just go from there.
Okay, thank you.
That just makes it a little bit more well worth the effort, right?
Yeah. It's a 3-day weekend of seminars and public speaking workshops. Just very intense.
I think it's free beer too. I'm not quite sure. Hey stranger, how you doing, man?
Good, how you doing?
Keep him busy, man. I got to spend $2 million before the end of the year. Can you help me? I'm going to keep it. Get my mattress at home, right?
Well, I'm thinking about taking a corporate jet up to Tallahassee. Can you,
if you would. Would you like to own the jet when you're done, or would you just like to ride on it?